Good morning, members. There is a quorum. I call to order the meeting. In the 2026 legislative session, as at the previous meeting, we have approved 11 items with a total funding amount of $47,225,400,000. On today's agenda, there are two papers to discuss. Both are new funding proposals submitted by the government. The two funding proposals involve a total amount of $31,230,300,000, subject to the approval of all the funding proposals. The accumulated number of funding items approved will be 13, with a total funding amount of $78,455,700,000, excluding the block funding for land acquisition and computerization program, that is $22,747,700,000. The total funding amounts for works item is $55,708,000,000. I remind members, if you have any direct or indirect pecuniary interest concerning the items for discussion today, please disclose the nature of such interest according to Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure before you speak. I also bring to your attention Rule 84 of the Rules of Procedure concerning votings on items in which you have direct pecuniary interest with. Item 1. 189DR, Integrated Waste Management Facilities, Phase 2. Please refer to paper PWSC 2026-27, number 9. The paper invites members to upgrade Project 189DR to Category A at an estimated cost of $29,200 million in money of the day prices. The administration has consulted the panel on environmental affairs concerning the proposal on the 27th of April. Members generally supported that the administration submitted this funding proposal for consideration. The salient points of the panel's discussion has been sent to members via email on the 15th of June. Members who would like to speak concerning this item, please press the button now. In attendance of this item are Ms. Diane Wong, Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Dr. Samuel Choi, Director of Environmental Protection, and the other government officials from the EEB. The names have been listed on the agenda. A very warm welcome to the administration. Now, this item involves generation of power as well as power grids. I declare interest. I am a senior consultant to the China Power Limited. I will now invite the government to present the proposal to us with a PowerPoint. Now, please complete the presentation within 5 minutes and be as brief as possible. Secretary. Director. Thank you, Chairman. I will be brief. Now, some members have compared the cost between IPAC 1 and IPAC 2. I will compare the cost here. Now, for IPAC 2, its design treatment capacity for municipal solid waste is double that of IPAC 1, but it is only 58% larger in terms of size. Now, the bottom ash in IPAC 1 has to be transported to the landfill for disposal. In the future, the bottom ash will be transported to IPAC 2 for disposal. Altogether, 9,000 tons of bottom ash will be dealt with. Now, in terms of power generation, it will be much larger than that of IPAC 1. Comparing the building cost, for IPAC 1, we had to conduct reclamation projects. Now, taking aside the reclamation cost as well as the breakwaters cost, compared with the price as at September last year, the building cost per ton handled per day is 27% less than that of IPAC 1, as shown on the slide. And of course, we have excluded the building cost as well as the building cost for the handling facility for bottom ash. Now concerning the flue gas handling system, now with better technology and higher standard for IPAC 2, we can better protect the environment and the residents nearby. Now in IPAC 2, a 7 components flue gas treatment system has been adopted. It is even higher than the national standard. Now previously in IPAC 1, there is only 5 segments flue gas treatment system. In terms of operating cost, the annual expenditure for IPAC 2 is $750 million. Now calculating based on the power generation cost, we will be able to sell $600 billion worth of power to the electricity company. Now we will be able to reduce 6,000 tons of MSW per day. That would be equivalent to $500 million per year in terms of landfill handling fee. So some members have also asked questions about how IPAC 2 compares with other power and waste-to-energy projects in the mainland. Now, IPAC 2 has more challenges. It is located in a remote ash lagoon. Now, there is only one road, that's a Lim Road, leading to IPAC from the slope. So all materials has to be transported via marine routes. And also we have to build the pier from scratch, and we have to consolidate the Middle Ash Lagoon as well. The water is also shallow, so the transportation cost is high. Compared with the mainland waste-to-energy projects, those projects do not involve infrastructure building as well as other engineering services cost. And also in the mainland, the cost for dealing with bottom ash is calculated separately. That's why the building cost of IPAC 2 seems to be higher than those of the mainland projects. That concludes my introduction. Thank you, Director. So far, 13 members have pressed the button. They are Mr. Kissing Yang, Ray Wong, Lam Chen Sing, Chen Pui Leung, Holden Chow, Dennis Leung, Tommy Chung, Moon Kids, Andrew Lam, Hong Kam Min, Chris Ip, Mr. Jonathan Leung, Lam Wai Kwong, and Ms. Christine Fong. 14 members so far. So in terms of time management, I will give each member 4 minutes, questions and answers included. The first member, Mr. Kissing Yang. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I support the construction of IPAC 2. It is really necessary. To achieve zero landfill vision, it is needed. IPAC 1 only has a 3,000-ton design capacity. That's not sufficient. We have to add 6,000 to that, but still not enough, if you ask me. Now, according to the population in Hong Kong, by 2046, there will be 8.19 million people in Hong Kong. According to online information, on average, the per capita disposal amount is 1.4 kilogram. Now, in 2046, with 8.19 million people, there's still a 2,446 ton of gap. Now, to break even, we need to achieve the ratio of 1.1. That means that we need to reduce waste disposal by 20% starting from now to achieve the vision of zero landfill. That means a lot of work is yet to be done. So in terms of waste reduction, what is your strategy? And second, can we consider expanding the capacity further? Now, by 2046, with 8 million population, do we need to spend another $200 million or $20 billion to build another incineration facility? That's not something we want. So can we enhance the capacity for IPAC 2 so that we have surplus capacity in the future? And also, it is rather difficult to identify suitable sites to build these facilities. So can we be more aggressive? So these are policy matters. These questions have been discussed sufficiently at the panel. So one is about whether there are other strategies, and second, whether we can enhance the capacity further. So these are policy matters. But I will still allow the Secretary to reply briefly. According to the government's design, is it sufficient to meet the future demand for waste disposal? Thank you. Now, our target is to move away from landfill by 2035 to dispose of MSW directly. So to achieve this goal, we will further our work on waste reduction and recycling, and the downstream we will develop waste-to-energy facilities. So by way of figures, starting from 2021, the disposal rate of MSW has reduced by 9.1%, while the recycling rate has risen from 28% in 2020 to 34% in 2025. So in terms of our strategies to encourage waste reduction and recycling, in this year's budget, it was announced that resources would be reserved to start a 5-year plan starting next year to enhance our recycling facilities. One, expanding our recycling network. Gradually upgrading greenest communities to around-the-clock recycling facilities. Second, using technologies to extract usable recyclables. And three, enhancing the rate of recycling. Concerning capacity, now for IPAC 2, the initial design capacity was just 3,000 tons. After conducting market sounding exercise and after discussion with the operators, we have already enhanced the design treatment capacity of IPAC 2 to 6,000 tons. That's a significant increase. Now, after the project is completed, we will continue to monitor the situation to see whether we need to enhance the waste-to-energy capacity in Hong Kong. Now, the daily waste we generate is some 13,000 tons. Now, with the completion of the two IPACs, the design capacity is 9,000 tons. So for the remaining, there's only 1,000 tons remaining. Chairman, I think time's up. As I've mentioned, this is a policy matter. Mr. Yang's question has been discussed by other members at the panel. Now, the government's reply is the total design capacity of 9,000 tons plus the other strategies, including education and recycling, we should be able to achieve the vision. Yes, I understand, Chairman. I was there as well. My question is, by 2046, the 8.19 million population, the plan for IPARC 2 is only up to 2035. Mr. Yang?
Mr. Yang, I understand your question. At that time, there won't be enough. For this project, we need to vet its cost effectiveness and design. Chairman, I am exactly talking about cost effectiveness. I'm asking whether they can expand capacity in the design. We are not only talking about zero landfill by 2030. We have to handle the 8.19 million population in 2046. At the beginning, I already stated the numbers. If we have to achieve break-even, it should be 1.1. In other words, 20%. So at the current rate, we won't be able to achieve that reduction. So I'm now talking about cost effectiveness. With this cost effectiveness, well, the future needs cannot be met. The earlier answers are about policies which I already understood. So here is another concrete question. Well, I understand the members' concern. We will pay attention to population, economy, and public progress in waste reduction. For the two IPARCs, we are trying our best to use the facilities to handle refuse incineration. In the future, as you all know, we have already reserved some land. In the future, if there is the need, we will develop the third, that is IPARC 3, the third facility. Our approach all along is that through waste reduction and recycling work, if society's needs can be met, then we may not need IPARC 3. However, in the future, if there are some uncertainties or if there are changes that there is the need, we still can consider this option. Thank you, Chairman. Next, Mr. Ray Wong. Thank you. I support this 189DR works. So this is objective-led, and the budget or the cost estimate is compressed to 29.2 billion. So we welcome this because they have taken our request into consideration. I want to talk about materials control. So for factory management on the front end, quality control exerts a lot of impact on efficiency and quality of the production line. And for IPARC 2, there is, for example, the moving grade arrangement, and every day there will be 6,000 tons of refuse to be dealt with. And there are hazardous materials, for example, lithium batteries, that will be useful to protect the life cycle of the boiler. So if the screening in the forefront is good, then I think the latter part can be assisted. So I think the Secretary will take into reference all these so that there will be better operation. In order to achieve good value for money, then I have three questions. The area of IPARC 2 is 18 hectares. Daily processing is 330 metric tons, so it is compact. In relation to plant design, is there some space for adding, for example, smart categorization or sorting facilities? And then for the front end, if there is smart sorting, then there would be further waste reduction before incineration. Then can the scale of incineration be reduced so that more public funds can be saved? Thirdly, in different parts of the world, there is fully automated sorting technology, which is very mature already. This time, many international experienced companies are attracted to submit a bid. And you are talking about handling the bottom ash. So are you going to bring in fully automated sorting facilities so that there would be more synergy in the system? I agree that zero landfill is an important policy in Hong Kong. So if there can be front-end smart sorting, then I think the whole process will be more highly effective. Director, thank you, Chairman. We totally agree. The front-end treatment or handling has to be done well. So in our 5-year plan, we have taken into consideration the arrangement before materials are sent in. So outside, there should be a large-scale refuse sorting. And then after that, at the refuse transfer or waste transfer station, that can be first done before actual transfer. So I think this is a better arrangement. on the mainland, they have adopted this approach. Just now, the member suggested automation. So once the refuse comes in, can there be sorting or classification? Now, once the waste comes in to the storage tank, then we are improving the facility and container, hoping to use AI and automation so that within the container, the waste can already be sorted. And within the storage tank or warehouse, if there is large-scale refuse being sent in, then crushing can be done there so that the overall process can be improved. Okay, thank you. Next, Mr. Lam Chun Sing. Thank you, Chairman. I support this project. Just now, the director analyzed that this project is even more cost-effective than IPARC 1. Some members are more concerned about the long term, whether the facility is good enough to handle the waste in Hong Kong. Para 5 of the paper says that this project will be brought to functional completion in 5 years. So in other words, the incinerators can start to process the waste. But are you going to turn on some incinerators first, or are you going to turn them all on? So how many more years do we need in order to reach the daily processing volume of 6,000 tons per day? So by 2032, 2033, population in Hong Kong may not be a lot bigger, but population will be definitely bigger in the northern metropolis, and then in the university city and technology city and other facilities. There will be a lot more non-local people coming in and out and living there. And by that time, the landfill may already be saturated and all used up. So in 2032-33, will there be a gap period? So there will be pressure or challenges in handling waste. And then another question is about para 21 of the paper. So in the tendering document, tenderers are encouraged to submit innovation proposals, and you offer financial incentives to encourage the contractor to complete the works ahead of schedule. So what are the financial incentives? What standards do they need to reach? By how much earlier can they get financial incentives? Regarding the innovation proposals and financial incentives, these are not seen in other projects. So are these specifically for this particular project? Some projects are in the value of 20 to 30 billion. So you want to encourage contractors to save money? These are my two questions. Thank you. I will ask Dr. Choi to answer the second question. For the first question, when we talk about functional completion, well, before the 5.5 year, we will be testing the facility in phases. And then regarding the daily processing volume of 6,000 tons, well, that can be achieved before the end of the 5.5 year. And then within 7 years, of course, we need to discuss with the residents on community facilities and also landscaping works. So within 7 years, all these will be completed. That's what we mean. Director, the second question, please. Thank you, Chairman. Upon completion of the project, if the contractor can complete the works in advance, ahead of the schedule, then they would get a bonus because we are able to save money in that case. So if they finish ahead of schedule, then that means incineration of waste can start earlier. Then to the contractor, they can make money earlier because they are able to incinerate earlier. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chan Pui Leung. Thank you, Chairman. For this project, we are talking about 29.2 billion. This is a big sum. So for the whole project, regarding construction cost and efficiency, I am more concerned about that. So my first question is about the design of the project. Have you used technology to reduce construction cost and improve efficiency? Now on the mainland, it is popular to use AI simulation technology. So by optimizing some design parameters and construction parameters, then there can be minimum conflict between the design and other space so as to achieve better efficiency and lower cost. Now in this particular project, a lot of MIC method will be used, so there will be a lot of formworks and prefabricated items. So will you be using high-strength steel and other light construction materials so that together with MIC you can further reduce construction cost and reduce the construction duration? Yes, Director, please. Thank you, Chairman. Yes. First of all, regarding the design, we will use digital twin. And in the whole design, the most advanced method will be used so that it will be more compact and better. And then regarding the modules, the combination modules, I think our approach is very advanced. For the modules, they can be built on the mainland in their entirety. And then when we built iPark 1, the modules are as high as 55 meters, 6,000 metric tons heavy. And then now for the new approach, each module will be as tall as 60 meters. And the weight is around 8,000 tons. In the past, when we worked on these, we have to make them on ground. And now these will be made in factories. So everything is automated and modularized. And we're using X902 high-strength steel to reduce weight and enhance its strength. Thank you, Chairman. Deputy Chairman, any follow-up? No. Next, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chairman. We do understand that regarding waste treatment or disposal, we do need incineration facilities. I have a few questions and ideas. First, Secretary and the Director many times met with Tuen Mun district councillors, and I would like to repeat the following point. First of all, we hope that we can take reference from mainland and international examples regarding incineration facilities. For example, in Copenhagen, the incineration facility is like a grass slide area. So it is both incineration as well as recreation facility. So this is quite common on the mainland as well as in overseas. I have taken a look at your initial design. So in actual operation, I hope that you can achieve this so that you can bring some recreation facilities to residents. So this can also drive economic benefits in the area. There are many examples that you can consider. My second idea is about cost. Comparing with the Stonecutters Island cost, I think now this project is cheaper. But then overall speaking, the sum is $30 billion. So if there is room for further reduction, I hope that you can tell us. My third request, and also the final one, is in the past, we used landfill. Now we're talking about incineration in Tuen Mun. External traffic is difficult. I'm sure the Secretary and Director will know. So in the future, perhaps you will use marine transport mainly. This point was mentioned many times. Apart from using marine transport, Well, regarding the connection traffic and roads between the district and the other areas, I think that I hope there can be better arrangements. This is the request of local residents. Let's see whether the Bureau has anything to add.
Secretary, I will take the first and the third question, and I will invite the Director to answer the second question. All along, we have maintained a close relationship with the community. As mentioned in the paper, resources have been set aside for landscaping as well as building community facilities. So after we have engaged the contractor, there will be a liaison group set up. Previously, we already have liaison officers working in the community. Now, after the establishment of the liaison group by the contractor, we will sit together and see what appropriate facilities are needed. Second, on transport, the member is right. We will rely on marine transport for the majority of our materials. That's 80%. After the completion of IPARC 2, the burden on the existing landfills will be reduced. In other words, there will be less transport to the landfills. Now, in the future, after the reclamation of the Long Kutan, there will be new roads built, thus diverting traffic from the existing roads. So we have already conducted traffic impact assessment for the area. Director, any room for cost compression? We have already compressed the cost. As shown on the slide, we have already achieved a 27% cost saving compared with IPARC 1. Now, the construction cost $29 billion and $200 million. That's already the price on the return tender. This is a brand new works contract. During the construction period, we will explore with the contractor whether we can achieve further saving. For example, when we conduct detailed geological survey, we will see if there is room to further compress the construction cost. Mr. Dennis Leung, thank you, Chairman. I support the project. My concern is that this is an incinerator, after all, and there will be a lot of pollutants generated. So can you explain the difference between IPARC 1 and IPARC 2 in terms of controlling the generation of carcinogenic pollutants and also carbon dioxide? Now, this project will take 7 to 8 years to complete. Now, in the interim, the daily amount of waste generated is some 70,000 tons. So is there any way to further reduce the generation of MSW? Incineration is one way to address the matter, but after all, it is better to reduce waste from source. These questions are about the policy matters, so I will still invite the Secretary to give us a brief reply. The other two questions are about carbon emission as well as other pollutants generated during the incineration process. Thank you. On waste to energy, now the daily waste generated is about 12,000 tons. Now the two IPARCs added together will have 9,000 tons capacity, so there is still a 1,000 ton gap. So with our 5-year plan, which I've explained already, we will continue to monitor the effectiveness of our strategies and continue to enhance it when necessary. Director. Thank you, Chairman. Now in IPARC 2, we have adopted an even more advanced system than IPARC 1. For IPARC 1, it is a 5-segment treatment facility. For IPARC 2, there are 7 segments. Now that's mainly in terms of dioxin and other pollutants and nitrogen oxides. For nitrogen oxides, there are 2 loops for dealing with the nitrogen oxides to reduce the generation. Now if you look at the chart, the amount of pollutants generated by IPARC 2 is at an extremely low level, even more advanced than the systems used in the European Union countries. It can effectively protect the population's health. Now, in terms of greenhouse gas emission, the IPARC 2 can reduce greenhouse gases emission by 600,000 tons. Now, for landfill, it will create a lot of methane. For IPARC 2, we can reduce that. And also, IPARC 2 can generate electricity. Generating power with natural gas or coal will generate a lot of carbon. So we will be able to achieve carbon reduction in IPARC 2. Mr. Tommy Chung, thank you. I agree with the vision of zero landfill, and I thank the administration for their explanation. I have 3 questions. First of all, operational cost. Now, power generation will create a revenue of $600 million, and also we can save $500 million on disposal of MSWs. So $750 million per year for operation. So will that be set off by the cost, by the revenue generated from power, and also the remaining will be offset by the cost saved. Now about bottom ash handling. Now according to the feasibility study, bottom ash has the potential to be used as construction materials. Now when will the final results be ready to see whether the bottom ash can be used in construction? Now, dealing with bottom ash itself will cost $2.1 billion itself. Now, the IPARC 2 will be completed in full in 7 years' time. It will span across 3 terms of government, and by time of the completion, it may be the second 5-year plan for Hong Kong. Now, what is the government's plan in terms of building import or re-export facility for recyclables? Can we deliver the IPARC 2 in phases? Secretary, I will take the first question. Mr. Zhong's understanding is correct. IPARC 2 as a waste-to-energy facility, the power generated will be used for its internal operation and exported to the grid for revenue. Now, we expect that for each ton of waste, we can achieve a $270 earning for power generation. So these will be included in the government's revenue account. So by offsetting the cost with that, the handling cost per ton of waste will be much reduced. And also we'll be reducing our reliance on fossil fuel for power generation, creating sustainable values. Director, please. Thank you, Chairman. Concerning the use of bottom ashes, Now, we are confident that we will be able to use bottom ash for our major infrastructure projects, especially those in the northern metropolis. These infrastructure requires large amounts of backfill materials as well as sub-base aggregates for roads. Now, we are working with the Building Technology Research Institute, or BTRI, to set a standard for bottom ash construction materials for use in Hong Kong. So we believe we can fully utilize the bottom ash generated. And concerning delivering the projects in phases. Now, when we design the contracts, these conditions have already been added. We expect the projects part of the project at least can be delivered in 5 years' time. We can gradually increase our waste treatment capacity. Mr. Moon Kit. Thank you, Chairman. I support this project. As an international metropolis, we are rather lagging behind. Now, this project cost $2.9 billion. So my questions are in relation to construction cost. Now, the project will adopt an NEC, new works project, as well as a DBC model. Now, under this framework, how will the cost be apportioned between the government and the contractor? If there are inclement weather or extreme weather, as well as other unforeseen factors, including the complicated geological situation of the ash lagoon, if there are delays, how will the additional cost be borne? Now, 80% of the waste will be transported to IPARC 2 via marine routes, but this is a shallow water area. There will be challenges. The paper says there will be a lagoon built without excavation. So is there significant cost saving compared with open trench method? Now, you will use the digital twin technology through MIC. So at different stages of the project, how will the digital twin technology come into play? And have you already included the cost for software and manpower for digital twin? I will defer the question to the Director and Deputy Director. Dr. Samuel Choi. Thank you, Chairman. Concerning the shallow water areas, if we use the traditional method by using a clamp, then we may damage the seafloor. The deep bay is a water with ecological value. We also have oyster rafts in the deep bay, so we will use the non-destructive method. Now, first of all, we will lay down a net, and then we will slowly inject the cement into the sea bottom without using the claws for clawing the soil of the sea bottom. Now, this method has been widely used in other projects, for example, the reclamation projects in the airport as well as IPARC 1. Now, concerning MIC and digital twin, by digital twin, it means that we would first digitalize the entire project. That includes establishing 3D models to prevent conflicts between the projects. And then we would complete the modules in the factories. There are 6 modules, totaling 8,000 tons of weight. So that will be more advanced and more efficient than the traditional method. Concerning the NEC, I will defer to Ms. Teresa Wu.
Ms. Wu, please. In the early stage of our project, we understand that there would be geological uncertainty because of the ash lagoon. So before tendering, we have already done some geological survey work, and the data and information has already been shared with the tenderer so that they can be more accurate in their bid. And the tender documents will be more accurate. But during detailed design, we know that they are going to also do further surveying work to ascertain the geological condition of the ash lagoon. And then for the NEC, it is going to be a partnership arrangement. We will do risk management. If contractor realizes discrepancy in the geological situation comparing with the information they receive from us, then they will conduct risk registration work, and also if necessary there can be some kind of extra compensation for contractor. At the end of the day, we will settle the project costs based on target price. So if there is savings in the project, then we will share that savings. However, if the original estimate is exceeded, the government will pay part of it. Members, it is now 9:17. According to our original plan, well, we should have completed the discussion of this project in 1 hour. But then many members would like to speak. There are 16 more members who would like to speak. So in terms of time management, I would draw a line after the Q&A by Mr. Andrew Lam. So before Mr. Hong Kam In speaks, I will draw a line. So other members who would like to speak or am interested to join this discussion who are within this building, then please come down to press the button to indicate your interest to speak. So Mr. Andrew Lam, well, 29 billion is not a small sum. Comparing with phase 1, well, 10 odd years have passed. This is phase 2. The construction difficulty is not smaller. Treatment volume will be doubled. But then the cost is only 50% more. So overall speaking, I accept that. But I have some questions about details. Comparing with phase 1, concerning resident site workers, I have quite a number of questions. Referring to para 17 and also enclosure 3, well, consultancy fee is lower comparing with phase 1. Now, if you refer to enclosure 3, resident contract management consultant doesn't have any work duration here. Is it true that there isn't any consultant's role there, and why? And then for resident site workers, in phase 2, 4,570 positions, as stated in para 47. And then in phase 1, 3,950. So in other words, there are 620 more positions. So referring to the additional positions, if we refer to the total salary of resident site staff, well, comparing with phase 1, phase 2 is 10 times higher, and the work duration is 5 times more. So it's difficult to understand these numbers based on common sense. So how should we interpret these numbers? Thank you, Chairman. Director, please. Mr. Lai? Yes, Mr. Lai. Right, Mr. Lai. Thank you, Chairman and Member, for the question. Regarding resident site staff costs, let me explain. In IPARC 1 in 2014, when we sought funding approval from FC, at that time in the paper, we made an estimate of resident site staff, and that is 167.5 million. And today for IPARC 2, our estimate is 1.62 billion. When we got funding approval for IPARC 1 at that time, because of the scale and complexity of the project, we reviewed the project, hoping to do a better job of project supervision. And at that time, we decided that a consultant firm should employ the resident site staff to be responsible for the project, to vet the project design, construction plan, and also safety measures, and also site supervision during construction. So that's why for resident site staff, resident period and cost is different from Phase 1. Now, IPARC 1 is almost completed. So for resident site staff salary and expenses, right now, the amount is 1.18 billion. This is going to be till the end of the project. So it is around 6% of resident site staff costs. For public works program, it is 10%, so more or less comparable. For IPARC 2, this time in our paper, our estimated resident site staff salary is based on the model of IPARC 1. That is, we hire consultants to do supervision, project supervision, and vetting works. And with this approach, the estimated expenses will be 1.62 billion, 6.5% of the total IPARC 2 cost. Comparing with the actual cost of IPARC 1, there is an increase by 40%. And then concerning the work duration, as said just now for IPARC 1, the site supervision work approach is changed. So comparing with the paper back then, the work duration is different. Right now, the actual number is 15,873 work months, involving 240 people. For IPARC 2, the resident site staff work period will be 17,530 work days or work months, involving 196 people. Right. One sentence, please, Mr. Lam. Right, I accept this explanation, but this shows that in terms of construction management, there is quite big change. Total cost is not affected. However, as members of PWSC and FC, with this big change, sometimes the whole decision-making process is not revealed in the paper. In the future, will there be some appropriate channels to reflect these changes? I want this point to be noted here so that in the future we can follow up in greater detail. Yes. Can the administration note that this PWSC would like to have relevant numbers for reference? Mr. Lam's suggestion should be noted by the administration. So in the future, you can see how to reflect changes to the numbers. The EPD has the numbers. Just now, the Deputy Director also mentioned some numbers. Can you give us those numbers after the meeting in writing so that we can have a more complete understanding? Members, before I draw the line, 16 members expressed interest to ask questions. Then I believe we can only complete such question and answer before 10:30. So in the agenda, there is a second item, so that has to be left to the next PWSC meeting. After the 16 members ask question, I will put this item to the vote. Because time is tight, so let me appeal to members. Please try your best to be concise in your questions and leave more time for officials to answer. Next, Mr. Hong Kam In. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, EPD Director, for giving us a presentation on Integrated Waste Management Facilities Phase 2. In para 8 of the paper, it says that by 2030, there should not be the third waste management facility to be built. And the precondition is that the daily waste volume will not exceed 9,000 tons. Just now, you gave an explanation already. So I want to know for iPark 2, now the daily treatment volume is 6,000 tons. Is there any room for increase? My second question is, in para 11 of the paper, it says that every year there will be 960 million kilowatt of electricity to be exported to the grid. So have you discussed with the power companies as to how much additional electricity tariff will be generated? My third question is, we seldom see some energy saving facilities like solar power and so on in the paper. So what kind of input will there be on this kind of facilities in iPark 2? Secretary, please. Thank you. Regarding iPark 2, whether there is room for capacity expansion, now at this stage we have already made full use of the land, so there isn't much room for increase. We have given the details already. Regarding electricity tariff, as said earlier, every year for electricity generation, every year there can be revenue of $600 million. The power companies and the government have a scheme of control. We sell electricity to them at marginal cost. That is the fuel cost. So in other words, for the power companies, they will not have additional revenue, but they will not lose out. So on the pre-sale or on the estimated electricity tariff or electricity cost, the 600 million is based on a dollar amount per kilowatt. Well, what about energy saving facilities and solar power facilities? Yes. At iPark 2, at the rooftop, there is going to be a big podium or area, and at appropriate locations we'll install solar power panels to increase electricity generation and to reduce the treatment of electricity in our system. Next, Mr. Chris Ip. As stated in para 16, you are asking for 29.2 billion, but comparing with iPark 1, in terms of cost control, I think you are able to save money up to 20%. And you still haven't included the premium 12 years ago. This time for iPark 2, what are the major areas of cost saving? And how can you achieve such a reduced price or cost? And then concerning the emission of flue gas, in iPark 2, the emission of pollutants is even lower than EU standards. So if the whole facility is commissioned, what will be greenhouse gas emission? And will that affect the 2025-2050 carbon neutrality goals?
Secretary. The member is right. Compared with iPark 1, The handling capacity is just 3,000 tons per day. For IPAC 2, it is 6,000. And also there is a bottom ash handling facility in IPAC 2. So compared with the cost then, that's $19 billion. IPAC 2 is just $10 billion more expensive at $29 billion. And the accumulative inflation rate since 2014 is 20%. Now, concerning the construction costs and construction manpower, there is an increase of 40% during the interim. We have adopted multiple measures to enhance the cost effectiveness of the project. For example, we have conducted a market sounding exercise and enhanced the contract. And also we have adopted the main trend building technologies to make our contracts more attractive. And also we have adopted the MIC method as well as the new engineering contracts as well. So we can effectively save the cost, enhance the competitiveness of our contract to make the price on the return tender lower than the original estimate. Director concerning emission. Thank you, Chairman. Now we have to deal with the waste anyway. If not incineration, if we transport and dispose the waste at landfill, the carbon emitted will be much higher than incineration at the IPAC. So the incineration method is actually a carbon reduction measure. And also we can reduce the reliance on coal and natural gas for power generation. So with the entire project, we can achieve reduction of 600,000 tons of greenhouse gas emission. Our target is to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. IPAC 2 would be a great help. Chairman, does it mean that through enhancing the design of the contract, the government is able to enhance the cost effectiveness and reduce the per unit cost of waste handling? Please be brief. You have actually answered the question. Now, the technologies used are much more advanced than 2014. So the above-mentioned measures can keep the cost down. Next, Mr. Jonathan Leung. Thank you. The Liberal Party fully supports the building of IPAC 2. However, this is, after all, an obnoxious industry. Now, a lot of drivers and manpower will be required to drive the waste trucks. Now, there would be difficulty in hiring manpower for the industry. So as the government considered automating the process to reduce the reliance on manpower. Now, second question, like IPAC 1, there will be environmental education facilities in IPAC 2. Now, when we are building these facilities, how many visitors will actually visit these facilities? This will have a bearing not only on the construction costs, but also recurrent expenditure on manpower. Now, if these facilities are not innovative and just the same as IPAC 1, then I think the visitation will be underwhelming. Now, paragraph 5. The project is expected to take 7 years. But it's more than a single one-off project. IPAC 2 will also handle the bottom ash created in IPAC 1. So the sooner the project is completed, the better. and we hope there will be no delay because it would affect IPAC 1 as well. Secretary, concerning the attractiveness of the community facilities, I would defer to the Director. Now, we have made reference to overseas experience, as mentioned by Mr. Chow. And also, after engaging the contractor, they will set up a community liaison group to gauge the preference of the community on what kind of facilities they want. So the product should be attractive to them. And like IPAC, we have community facilities in IPAC 2 as well. There has been adequate booking of tours from schools and also other community groups. So in the future, we will continue to design attractive community activities for the residents. Director, thank you. Concerning automation, we encourage the contractor to automate the process from transport of waste to the piers to the designated waste reception hall. We hope that there will be automation. Now, after granting the new engineering contract, we will work with the contractor to enhance the workflows design. Now, concerning compression of the timetable, we have adopted many methods, including encouraging the contractor to use the digital twin method as soon as possible and identify a suitable location in the mainland to build the entire modules for the incinerator. Every module will take at least 13 months to build. Now, of course, we hope that this can be built in parallel while geological survey, as well as site formation and the building of pier take place in parallel in Hong Kong. And also, we have adopted a phased delivery timetable. So after the completion of the first two modules, we can achieve a 2,000-ton capacity in the first 2.5 years. Mr. Lam Wai Kong, thank you. Now I'm more concerned about the berthing spaces mentioned in paragraph 13 and also the berths for waste reception facilities. Now you mainly rely on marine routes. So are there sufficient barges and do we have sufficient cranes? Now in the future, some 6,000 tons of waste will be transported to the facility via the sea. So which port or which pier will be responsible for receiving waste? Now in terms of the crane system, as mentioned by Mr. Leung, what kind of manpower can be saved by using automated technology? Secretary, now among the 6,000 tons of waste, 80% of them will be transported via the sea. Now there are different roles played by IPAC 1 and 2. Now for the waste transfer station in Kowloon West as well as Island West, they have piers and they will be transported to IPAC 1. For the remaining waste transfer facilities, they will use roads. Now for the Sha Tin 1, even without a pier, we will explore whether they can use the piers in West Kowloon to transport the waste to IPAC 2. Director. Thank you, Chairman. Now the waste transported to IPAC 1 and 2 and even the New Territories West landfill we are heavily relying on barges. 80% of the waste is transported by the sea. Now, the operation of the barges is under another contract, which is subsumed under the contracts for waste transfer station. Now, for waste from the Sha Tin Waste Transfer Station, we plan to transport them to the new waste transfer station in Cheung Kwan O and then send them to the iParks by the sea. Now, in terms of the smart and automated system, now for the tasks requiring human labor in iPark 1, that includes receiving waste at the pier and also transporting waste to the reception hall. Now, in the future, we will consider whether we can switch it to automation. And also, the monitoring system is actually fully automated with AI support. That will be the direction in the future as well. Next, Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Chairman. Now, a decade ago, I visited Europe to study the incinerators in Copenhagen and other places. Now, I agree that it is good to have incinerators to reduce waste. Now, the overall design is important, however. Now, 1 decade on, we are having the iPark 2 to deal with our MSWs. However, $29 billion is a substantial amount, which causes concern. Now, the recurrent expenditure is $700 million per year. Now, you will enhance the flue gas treatment system for nitrogen oxides, dioxins, and other fine suspended particles. So is it the highest standard in the world, according to the return tender? Second, the operation will involve $700 million of operational cost. That has already included the revenue generated by power exports. And also, we will be using bottom ash as sub-base aggregate for pavements, especially in the northern metropolis. So since we are also generating electricity, can we make floor tiles with the bottom ash in iPark 2 for use in government projects? Secretary, we have made reference to the EU standards as well as the national standard. We have also compared the standard with iPark 1. The standard in iPark 2 is more stringent than the above-mentioned standards. For example, nitrogen oxides. The emission standard is 60 mg. For dioxins, it is 0.04 mg. For sulfur dioxide, this is 30 mg. So the impact on the environment is minimal. May I defer to the director for the other questions? Thank you, Chairman. Concerning the price tag, as mentioned in our introduction, the cost is kept at a very low level compared with iPark 1, 27% lower. And also in terms of reusing bottom ash, we will use it for a number of purposes. Now, we are collaborating with the BTRI as well as other local universities. Now, sub-base aggregates will be the major use. So most of the bottom edge will be used for sub-base aggregates. It is also less challenging. Now, in terms of floor tiles, that will also be our consideration as well. I think this is a very good suggestion. We will consider it and follow up on the suggestion.
Mr. Chang Pui Kong. Thank you, Chairman. Just now we talked about emission. Comparing with EU and mainland standards, I think our project is going to be more stringent on that. I'm sure the Bureau will put in a lot of resources to safeguard residents' health. This is good. I'm not worried about standards. I am now more concerned about odor, because some time ago I went to look at iPark 1. I don't know whether it is because I'm more sensitive to odor. So I think the odor there is a bit stronger. Once I get indoor, the odor is even stronger. So I want to know whether there is better approach or method to reduce odor. So I think the staff working there should be protected, because if they work there and are subject to such a smell over a long period of time, that is not good to their health. Secondly, in the future, there will be many community facilities there to attract residents to go there. So if odor can be reduced, then more members of the public will be willing to visit the area. Right, Secretary? For odor, I would ask the director to comment. Now, just now, perhaps I gave a rush answer. So it is based on per capita basis. Talking about the number I gave just now. Director, regarding odor, when we went to iPark 1 last time, it is still during construction phase. During construction period, doors have to be opened because works are still being carried out. At that time, given the negative pressure environment, it is not satisfactory because the works are not completed yet. After everything is completed, then the dumping hall will be totally sealed and there will be negative pressure. And then the the gas in the hall will be pumped in for incineration of the waste. So regarding odor, I think that will be totally dealt with. So there will no longer be odor coming out. Thank you, Chairman. Next, Mr. Ken Wong. Thank you, Chairman. For the project, there will be educational there will be environmental education and community facilities. In the paper, it says that at iPark 2, apart from waste-to-energy facilities, there will be administration hall, environmental education and community facilities. Environmental education, recreation, leisure elements will be incorporated into the project. I commend that. So what will be the actual arrangement for such work? Are you going to work with schools, educational institutions, district organizations, so that primary and secondary students can be brought to the site for visit? And at iPark 1, there are also environmental education and visit arrangements. For iPark 2, will there be further enhancement of the educational facilities regarding education content and community promotion? Will there be some new highlights? Apart from this question, I have a suggestion regarding the waste-to-energy environment-friendly facilities on the mainland and internationally. There is the integration with public education, especially community participation and student learning environment. I think there will be some good integration. So can there be cooperation mechanism with the Education Bureau so that the waste-to-energy facilities can also be integrated with primary school, secondary school, geography, and also civic education subjects? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. In para 3, for environmental education, community facilities, landscaping works, well, we have set aside some funding, and then for the 750 million, 705 million. Well, basically, there would be arrangements for communities, organizations, and schools to visit and use the facilities. Just now, we said that regarding the facilities, there will be a community liaison group. Besides, we also will be in contact with schools so that students will have the chance to visit and use the facilities. Regarding curriculum, we will contact the Education Bureau. So in relevant subjects, we hope that environmental protection related topics can be included. Director, yes, let me supplement. At iPark 2, well, iPark 2 is a very signature project for Hong Kong. In the future, we hope that there will be a comprehensive education center. And through this project, we can introduce to the whole world about waste incineration and waste to energy facilities. This is going to be a large project. So with this project, we hope to introduce our facilities to the whole world, including the Belt and Road countries. Next, Mr. Kenneth Fogg. Thank you, Chairman. My question is along the same line with Mr. Ken Wong's question. I would like to refer to para 44. It sets education, leisure, and recreation. And I believe that this project is a design and build project. So for recreation and leisure part, what is written in the tender documents? How are you going to do that? Well, there will be a building in front, so I believe the facilities will be in that building. If you talk about recreation facilities, what are your ideas? Is it going to be a stadium or what? This place is not very close to Tuen Mun Metro station. It will take 35 minutes, and it takes also 35 minutes to Hong Shui Kiu. So if we're talking about recreational facilities, it will be difficult for people to go there to enjoy the facilities. That's my understanding. You talked about ecotourism and also other eco activities potential. So in the tender documents, can you be more specific? Can you talk about facilities and activities which are not present in other districts? That's my point. Secretary, in the tender document, there is a notional scheme. The contractor can propose better options. So in the future, after listening to members of the community, then the facilities designed will be better able to meet community needs. So the facilities will integrate environmental protection, education, recreation, and leisure. There will be multimedia, education materials, interactive games, and immersive experience. So as said earlier, there will be promotion of waste to energy and also waste reduction at source concepts. We will collaborate with enterprises and community bodies. We hope that the contractor, through such collaboration, can, for example, put in place a cafe, or they can do ecotourism. That place is close to Lau Fau Shan and Pak Nai. We have already said that we will consult the public on this. So with ecotourism, and also there is a oyster farming area. So together with T Park, iPark 2, iPark 1, there will be a synergy so that members of the public can enjoy the community facilities, environmental education, and also culture in relation to oyster farming and fishery. So we will listen to the district before we finalize details of community facilities. Well, I think district views are important. Your bureau will promote this project. So can you work with CSTB and also members of the tourism sector and the sports sector? I think we are willing to give views. We will spend 20 odd billion, so we should not waste the money. You should not only treat it as homework to deliver community facilities. Yes, your point is very good. In LegCo, there is a subcommittee, and Mr. Yip How Long is the chairman. There are many other policy bureaus and departments participating regarding ecotourism and also all the very rich details of iPark 2. Perhaps we can take this opportunity to promote ecotourism and environmental education. Next, Mr. Chong Ho Fong. Thank you, Chairman. Some time ago, the director had arranged a meeting with me and also Chuen Mun district councillors. And at that meeting, I gave suggestions on this new building, including recreational facilities, like what Mr. Fox said. We hope that there would be some popular emerging activities for niches, so that can attract more people. We also talked about traffic issues. In the future, definitely there will be bigger volume of waste that will be transported there. There will be incinerators and landfill. And you said that marine to road transport will be in the ratio of 8:2, and there won't be more refuse vehicles, and there won't be additional traffic burden near Black Point. So I think this is worth supporting. Now, I am not only talking about Black Point, but then there are other major projects. For example, the reclamation work, the number 11 trunk line, and also the Tuen Mun bypass, and so on. So many infrastructural projects are being worked on at the same time. iPark 2 will not affect the traffic on Black Point Road, but then do you have a accumulated traffic impact assessment in Tuen Mun Northwest, so that you will know whether there are any conflicts between the vehicles getting into iPark 2 and other cars? So do you have data to show that emissions at iPark 2 will be better than the most stringent standards all over the world? And then I can see that your chimneys look nicer. But then in Tuen Mun, there are also landfills, the Zhangchui urn, and also Columbarium, and also the Black Point, Castle Peak power stations. They also have emissions. So have you considered the overall cumulative emission of the whole district, whether it is in line with environmental standards? Will there be exceedance of standard in relation to dioxin in Leung King, Tuen Mun Pier, Butterfly Bay residents? They have some worries. Director? Yes, thank you, Chairman. Regarding traffic, we have examined the situation, and Tuen Mun district will not be affected traffic-wise. Now we are using the NT West landfill to deal with our waste. In the future, the waste will be dealt with by the nearby incinerator. Regarding traffic and also flue gas emission, in our EIA, we have already done a cumulative EIA. Just now, member referred to traffic and overall emission. These have been taken into consideration. We have used mathematical models to do some calculations, so nearby residents will not be affected. Air pollution and air quality will not see any exceedance of pollution standards, and in fact there will be improvement to the situation. At present, for the landfill, it is an open-air landfill that will be older and it's difficult to control emissions. In the future, it will be a totally sealed space with negative pressure. So overall speaking, the Tuen Mun district will enjoy some improvement. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Elaine Chick. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the government for their efforts in addressing the issue of municipal solid waste. IPAC 2 is really necessary. I have two questions. Now, in IPAC 1, there are 3 incinerator modules handling 1,000 tons of MSWs per day. So does it mean that IPAC 2 will have 6 modules? Will each module have their own reception hall and retention tank? Now, for the storage tank in IPAC 2, how many days of waste can the storage tank store? And will there be fermentation process in these tanks? So very soon, in the second half of the year, the first green hydrogen waste-to-energy facility will be commissioned in Hong Kong. So in the future, can we use incineration to create hydrogen? Does the government have a plan for that? If so, do we need a separate system to deal with the flue gas and the bottom ash generated? Has the design of Park 2 reserved spaces for such a facility? And can you conduct pilot tests with the contractor when Park 2 is commissioned? I will defer the first question to the director, and then I will answer the question on hydrogen. Director. Thank you, Chairman. In both IPAC 1 and IPAC 2, there are 3 modules with 2 incinerators in each module. At the same time, there is 1 reception hall, and then there are individual storage tanks. There is a crane to pick up the waste for incineration in the modules. Now, IPAC 2's modules are 1 times larger than that of IPAC 1. In terms of the storage facility, we can store 4.5 days equivalent of waste in the tanks. We will even out the incineration process because we have to maintain an even temperature to achieve a high quality. Now, for waste with high moisture content, we will leave it there for fermentation so that the moisture will be drained for separate treatment. And then we would claw the waste for incineration to achieve a stable burning result. What about hydrogen? Would there be space for trial? Now, the Interdepartmental Task Force has already approved creation of hydrogen through incineration. And also, the power companies are already using hydrogen partially for power generation. Now, IPAC 1 has been using the traditional technology. If we are to add hydrogen facility in the IPAC 2, then we first have to transform the waste to hydrogen, and then we need storage for hydrogen as well. Now, in the future, we will introduce a bill into the electrical for dealing with hydrogen projects. So we will see whether we can overcome the challenges by then. Mr. Aaron Bog, thank you, Chairman. I declare interest. I'm the director of a one-man consultancy firm and two independent non-executive directors of two consultancy firms. Now, concerning IPARC 2, I need to praise the Secretary and the Bureau for your work over the past few years behind this project. Now, comparing IPARC 2 with IPARC 1, it has almost doubled the treatment capacity, with only 5% increase in site coverage, and also a lot of cost reduction has been achieved. It will be more cost-effective and environmentally friendly. A lot of advanced technologies have been adopted. Most important is that compared with IPARC 1, the adjusted comparison, there will be a 30% cost saving, equivalent to $10 billion. That's $10 billion saved for the public. So hats off to you. Now my question is about the recurrent expenditure. Now you are adopting a DBO contract model, that is design, build and operate model for IPARC 2. However, the recurrent expenditure will be $705 million per year. So that's equivalent to the ordinary level. But the project will generate revenue through power generation and other measures. So will the revenue go to the government or the contractor? Will the manpower hired by the contractor be paid by the government or the contractor? Now, the administration said that the earlier the project is completed, the earlier the contractor will receive a revenue. So I gather that the revenue is going to the contractor instead of the government. Secretary. And concerning electricity, the revenue will go to our treasury. And concerning the incentives for contractor, may I defer to the director? Thank you, Chairman. First of all, in the contract, that is the DBO contract. During the period of operation, the contractor will share parts of the revenue. That includes the fixed revenue as well as the per ton revenue. So if the module can be delivered sooner, then we can start incinerating the waste. Then according to each ton of waste incinerated, we will pay the contractor accordingly. So that would mean an income for the contractor. So does it mean that the contractor would get paid per ton of waste incinerated? That would be deducted from the $705 million of recurrent expenditure. Dr. Junius Ho, I applaud the EEB as well for their efforts. Despite that, I hope the Bureau can compile a comparison chart concerning the construction cost difference between IPARC 1 and IPARC 2. Now we are asking for $29 billion. However, according to the media, it says that IPARC 1 costs $18 billion. Now IPARC 2 has a doubled treatment capacity, but it costs $37 billion. But the paper says it is only $29 billion. However, according to the Hong Kong Economic Times, the price tag is much higher. So council members can get an explanation from the government. However, we need to send a clear message to the public for publicity purpose to avoid bad optics or misunderstanding. Second, as mentioned by Mr. Aaron Bock, 960 million kilowatt hours of electricity generated. The revenue generated will go to our treasury. Now, I'm pleased to hear that. Now, for Hong Kong Island, the electricity tariff is quite high. So there will be some 260,000 households consuming the 960 million kilowatt hours of electricity generated. So that's great. Bargain. So are we exporting or selling the electricity to the grid at the same cost? Now, there is only one power company receiving your electricity. So we need to know how much you are selling, for how much you are selling the electricity to the power company, and to compare it with the electricity tariff we are paying to the electricity company. Now, I know this is an obnoxious facility. I support concentrating these facilities in one place. Now, I support moving the facility to Changzhou instead of the Shekuchao. The location is too remote. I think it should be made our policy to concentrate all obnoxious facilities in one place with a separate set of roles so that the resident would not be affected. I do not necessarily require an answer. Secretary. Now, on the 17th of October 2014, according to the paper of the FC on that date, the funding proposal was some $192 or $19.2 billion. Yes, and sometimes the price tag for IPAC 2 is $37 billion, and now it is $29 billion. Now, actually, according to the Capital Works Reserve Fund's paper, the estimate cost was $37.5 billion, or $35.7 billion. Now, with our colleagues' efforts, we are now reducing the cost to $29.5 billion. Dr. Ho's question is, the figures given by the media are different from the administration's papers, so he hopes you can do more publicity and clear the matter. Yes, we understand. There are lots of figures being reported in the media. So besides our explanation just now, we will step up on publicity to tell the public what the actual price is. Second, concerning the revenue for exporting the electricity to the grid. Now, in 2022 or in 2026, the estimated price for selling our residual electricity to the power company is some 60 cents. So the annual revenue is $600 million. Mr. Augustine Wong. Thank you, Chairman. Now, this project aligns with the zero landfill vision, so we are bound to support it. Now, paragraph 3 mentions that in order not to affect the oyster rafts as well as the ecosystem in the deep bay, there will be measures taken. However, the paper also mentions there will be a desalination facility. So we are using seawater for cooling, but we are also building a desalination plant.
I will ask the director to answer. Yes, director, please. Thank you, Chairman. So we are using air cooling system the difference between air cooling and water cooling is for air cooling, air is used to drive the grate, but then for water cooling, a large volume of water will be needed to pump such big volume of water from the sea for cooling. There's the need to avoid having oysters growing along the pipe. So in order to avoid that, well, that would be a big improvement to the deep bay if we can avoid that. Regarding seawater desalination, the amount of water required is many dozen times different from the amount of water needed for water cooling. So the reason why we do water desalination is that the water supply there is not enough. So if we need more fresh water supply, then we have to lay even more water pipes, and the project will be of big scale. Duration required will be long. So that's why we decide that seawater desalination should be a better method, a faster method to make water available. Regarding project cost, I will ask Mr. Lai to give you some numbers. Mr. Lai, please. Thank you, Chairman and member, for the questions. For the seawater desalination facility in our project, it is in the E&M projects for incineration facilities item. So things related to desalination is the heat or waste heat power generation boiler. So in other words, the desalinated water will generate power through steam. And so on MOD basis, the amount will be $2.687 billion. Any more follow-up, Mr. Wong? So 2.6 billion is for the whole project. What about this seawater desalination item? Will it be a big amount? And regarding the laying of water pipes and also the desalination plant cost, which will be better? For the desalination plant, will that include some mainland system? That is, there is the need for such facility, even though normal potable water is used or drinking water is used. Thank you. I do not have the cost for the desalination item only. But if we add the steam furnace, the power generator, and the condenser facility or system, then we're talking about 2 billion. Right. So I think Mr. Wong is asking for the cost of seawater desalination and whether there is any alternative regarding fresh water. So if you do not have the information with you, then I suggest that you can produce the information after the meeting. Okay, Mr. Wong? Yes. Members, there are a few more members who would like to speak. So other members within this building, can you please come back to this conference room? After members speak, we will put the item to the vote. So, okay. Next, Ms. Michelle Tang. Thank you, Chairman. Cost of iPark 2 is 29.2 billion. Comparing with iPark 1, there is a 20% saving. All along, many colleagues remind the administration to reduce costs. I know that the government has been doing its best. So I would like to make a bolder point. I'm not talking about saving money. I want to make sure that money is well spent. Now you are building a very signature agricultural cluster. And if the design doesn't look good, even though it is very practical, I think it is fine for other facilities. But now this is an incinerator. I want to be bold and innovative. I think it needs to look grand because if you look at other incinerators in Japan, Germany, Austria, and North Europe, similar facilities indeed look scenic. they look as nice as the Disneyland. So now we're going to spend so much money. I hope that iPark 2 should look nice both internally and externally so that people would like to come for photos. So no matter how much money you want to save, please do not save money in terms of salary to professionals. We're not talking about general work. For this project, we need relevant professionals. For bottom ash, I know that it is quite a good choice to be able to make use of it. So do you have initial estimate as to how much bottom ash will be generated? And have you started discussion with the industry on how to make use of such bottom ash and construction materials? Director, thank you. Member for the suggestions. Now we're trying our best to be practical without having the facility too extravagant. But now we will work with the contractor to see how we can further optimize things so that in the future it can be a landmark project to be showcased to the Belt and Road countries. Regarding bottom ash, now we are working very hard to explore about its uses. We will also take reference from the mainland on how we can make use of the bottom ash. We'll do more work about that. Thank you, Chairman. Any follow-up, Ms. Tang? Next, Mr. Vincent Chang. Thank you, Chairman. Overall speaking, I agree to this iPark 2 project. We do find a need to build it. Apart from building and managing the facility, I hope that in the future recycling can be better worked on. Now, I have a question about the berth, and also there will be waste transfer station, and then designated container vessels will be used to transport the waste to iPark 2. So how much will be the expenses? For example, at West Kowloon for the transfer station, over a long period of time, people have concerns about odor. I know that there are some improvement works, but then for iPark 2, is it true that all the waste will be transported via marine routes? And how much will go to the West Kowloon transfer station? Will there be other transfer points as well? At the transfer station, will there be some enhancement measures to minimize odor? Thank you. Director? Thank you, Chairman. Yes. In the future, so we will keep this 8:2 ratio, 8 marine. So in the future, around 4,800 tons. The incinerator will handle 6,000 tons. 80% means 4,800 tons. Only the West Kowloon station is not enough. There will be other points. Now, along the waterfront, for example, there is the West Kowloon transfer station, Island East, Island West, and then in the future in Cheung Kwan O, there will be one for Kwun Tong, Cheung Kwan O, and Sha Tin. Waste there will be transported via the marine route. We will maintain a high-quality waste transfer facility so that there won't be odor emission. Now we are trying our best to upgrade our overall effectiveness. Thank you. Chairman, a simple follow-up. The director said 4,800 tons. This is not a small number. Even though there are enhancement measures at West Kowloon transfer station before the completion of iPark 2, I hope that all these measures are completed so that there will be minimal odor nuisance in the future. Yes, we will follow up. Some time ago, FC had already given us funding approval, so now we are doing the improvement works. Next, Mr. Jonathan Lamport. Thank you, Chairman. I support this idea about waste to energy facility. I have two questions. First, now we have high quality integrated development with the GBA in enclosure 1. It says that every day there will be 6,000 tons of waste to be dealt with by iPark 2 at Zhengshui of Tuen Mun, and it is away from Shenzhen Circle by the distance of the sea. So Para 32 talks about consultation of Tuen Mun District Council, rural committees, and bringing villagers to Shenzhen for a visit. Now we are so close to Shenzhen. Have we exchanged views with Shenzhen government? Because this is a development within GBA. Para 44 states that iPark 2 can actually lead to ecological tourism value together with the nearby Lao Fao Shan and Park Nai. And will there be traffic impact because the road in Nim Wan and Ha Park Nai is often congested. People will have to go through Black Point and then Tuen Mun Town Centre. The whole distance or the travel time will be as long as 1 hour. So have you got a timetable of connecting the Nim Wan road segment, Director? Yes. Thank you, Chairman. Concerning our contact with Shenzhen, we are in close communication. During design stage, how are we going to build the incinerator and also our requirements? We have been in close communication with Shenzhen. We went to Shenzhen to visit similar waste incineration facilities. We have looked at them a few times. We have learned a lot. Regarding emission standards, we have many discussions. They do support us to proceed with incineration facilities as soon as possible because that will be much better than landfill. Regarding traffic, at present, to the north of the landfill, we are using that Deepwater Bay Road, and there is one segment that is not open yet. We use that part to transport waste to the NT West landfill. In the future, if iPark 2 is commissioned, then at iPark 2 itself, there is already a berth, and its operation and transfer will already be enhanced. After iPark 2 is commissioned, we will open up the road at the back so that there would be connection and integration. Thank you. Right. Just now, 25 members spoke. When I announced, or after I announced that I would draw a line, Mr. Stanley Ng would like to ask question. So if you do not object, then in the remaining time, I will also let Mr. Ng ask question for the first round. Mr. Chong Ho Feng would like to speak the second time. So if there is no objection from members, then after Mr. Stanley Ng speaks for the first time, then there would be the second round of Mr. Chong Ho Feng. Then I will put the item to the vote. It is quite close to 10:30. So now I announce that I will extend this meeting by 15 minutes so that we can deal with the necessary procedures afterwards. 4 minutes for Mr. Stanley Ng. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I welcome iPark 2 building or construction. Of course, we attach importance to whether there is value for money and whether it can deal with our waste. Now we're talking about phase 2. Can it really handle all the waste in Hong Kong so that there will be zero landfill effect? This is a question. My other question is, we all emphasize that emission must meet global standards, but still there will be emission, and such emission will be hazardous to human beings. Can there be further reduction in emissions of hazardous substance? That's my second question. Third question. regarding our waste treatment capabilities, well, if such capabilities can be enhanced, then can we dig out the waste from landfills for treatment? Because if our facilities have good enough production capacity, then if waste generated in our daily lives cannot be adequately treated, then that would be a big wastage. If there isn't continuous incineration, then the cost will even be higher. Thank you.
The question mentioned by Mr. Stanley Ng has actually been discussed before. So can the Secretary give a brief reply? Or the Director, please. Thank you, Chairman. I thank Mr. Ng for his reminders. We will do our best to ensure that the facility is fully utilized, and we will seek to fully utilize the capacity of the incinerators. Now, the design capacity is 6,000 tons per day. Now, with our waste reduction efforts as well as our recycling efforts, we will ensure that we can fully handle all the MSWs generated each day in Hong Kong. Now, the emission standards are already more stringent than the national standard and the international standards. Now, when the iPark 2 is actually in operation, we will see whether we can make use of the digital twin technology to further reduce the amount of pollutants emission to ensure that the public is safe. Or whether we can dig up the waste in our landfill for incineration, or at present that is not feasible. Our incinerators capacity can barely meet the amount of waste generated each day. So that's why we need members to approve the funding proposal so that we can enhance the capacity, so that we can rely less on landfill. Now, if we can do that, we will be able to avoid overfilling the landfills. The last member to speak, 2 minutes for Mr. Mark Zhong. I would like to follow up on Ms. Michelle Tang's question. iPark 2 will handle the bottom ash created by iPark 1 as well. So in terms of transforming bottom ash to construction substrate or sub-base aggregate, is the cost $400 million per year, as mentioned in the table. Now, the current market demand for bottom ash turned sub-base aggregate in Hong Kong, is the demand sufficient? If there is insufficient demand, it may not be cost effective. And also, concerning Lim Wan Road, now with the landfill going to fulfill its historic mission soon, the Lim Wan Road will be reopened to the public soon. So will there be direct linkages between Lim Wan Road and the Shenzhen Bay Road? That will help divert the traffic in Tuen Mun. Mr. Lai? Deputy Director, Mr. Derek Lai. Thank you. Concerning the handling facility for bottom ash, in terms of construction cost, the figure mentioned by the member is the shell. And there's also engineering and mechanical electrical works inside. Now it will cost some $2.1 billion at the money of the day price. Concerning the amount of bottom ash created. Now, after the completion of IPARC 2, each day we can create some 900 tons of bottom ash, which will be transferred to the bottom ash handling facility for transformation. So we expect each year 320,000 tons of sub-base aggregates can be created. Now, whether the market can absorb that, here are some figures. Now, according to the market sounding exercise we have conducted with the Development Bureau, in the next 10 years, the demand for sub-base aggregates arising from public works projects will be 220 million tons. Now, for public housing projects, each year the sub-base aggregates required is some 470,000 tons. So these figures show that the sub-base aggregates created from bottom ash will be fully absorbed by the local market. Permanent Secretary from the Development Bureau, Ms. Ho, please reply briefly. Ms. Doris Ho. Thank you. Concerning Lim Wan Road, the IPARC 2 is quite near the Lau Fau Shan new development area. So riding on the opportunity of the NDA project in Lau Fau Shan, we will enhance the road network, including a certain section of Lim Wan Road. I'm just quoting it from my memory. Parts of the Lim Wan Road is located on or in the area of the landfill. So considering how to make it available to the public, we will have to work with the EEB on the plan, because the road will pass through the existing landfill. Thank you. Members, we have completed 27 rounds of Q&A. I now put the proposal to a vote. With those in favor of the proposal in paper PWSC 2026-7, number 9, please raise the hands. Those against the proposal, please raise their hands. I think most of the members in the vote were in favor of the proposal. The proposal is passed. On whether the Finance Committee should conduct further discussion on the item, I now put the following question to vote according to paragraph 41A of the rule of the PWSC, that this subcommittee recommends further discussion of the proposal set out on paper PWSC 2026-7, number 9 by the Finance Committee. I remind members, subject to the passage of this question, it means that the subcommittee recommends further discussion of the paper by the FC. If the question is negative, it means that we do not recommend further discussion of the paper by the FC. With those members who are in favor of the question, please raise their hands. 1, 2. Those against, please raise their hands. I think most of the members in the vote were against the question. The question is negative. The subcommittee does not recommend further discussion of the paper PWSC 2026-7, number 9 by the Finance Committee. The discussion of the item is concluded. Thank you for attending the meeting. Because of the time, we don't have time for the second item. It will be rolled over to the next meeting. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, members and government officials.